Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, I will be going over 10 things that you never see pros do in Call of Duty Mobile. There is so many tips and tricks videos out there on the internet, and most of them are focused around things that good players do well and you should also do. But today I figured I'd make this video a little different to maybe point out some issues you might have with your gameplay. So if you enjoy, of course, hit the like button, subscribe. I have so much more content just like this coming out in the future. Anyways, let's get into today's video. So before I get into our first tip out of the 10 that I have for you today, I do have to warn you, you might know a couple of these, of course, but this video is packed full of great information, so make sure you stick around to the end so you don't miss anything. Anyways, the first tip is actually to play with your teammates. That might sound obvious, but it's actually the biggest issue I see when I play ranked. What I mean by this is, say for example, you're in a hardpoint match. You need to get into the objective, but the enemy team has it on lock. 95% of the time, I see my teammates and I end up doing it myself. I run into the hardpoint, get a kill or two, and then die, and it ends up being absolutely useless because the other team just keeps spawning and pushing into the point. The way that you will see pro players break objectives like a hard point is they wait for their team and then they push in. So they wait for their teammates, throw some utility, push together, and they have much greater odds of actually doing something useful and gaining control of that hill. Now you might be saying to yourself, Godsley, I play solo queue ranked and it is awful. My team does not know how to play. Well, at least you do now that you're watching today's video. All you have to do is sit outside the hardpoint, maybe kill an enemy or two, and then as soon as you see your team approaching it, you run in right behind them. Make sure you're behind them though, so that they will die, and then you can get their trades and take control of that objective. Pushing with your team is going to make your odds increase by like 30 to 40%, and you will end up winning more matches. For tip number 2, it might seem a little bit obvious, but you guys need to hear this. At least my ranked teammates need to hear this. Do not run out in the open. Now this can apply for any shooter game ever, and a lot of people think they're doing this properly, but they're not. When you watch pros, they are constantly moving from piece of cover to piece of cover to piece of cover. They'll go all the way around the map if they need to, just so they don't need to run out in the middle of the open. Let me give you a good example that you've probably seen a million times. Say you're sitting up in top 10, which is the metal area in the middle of firing range, and then you see someone over coming out of wood, which is the wooden area across. I see tons of people run out from that bottom doorway, and I shoot them from top 10. I don't understand why they do that, but I see people constantly do that. They think they need to run in a straight line to the hard point. You really don't. So next time you get in a ranked match, make sure to focus on this. The third thing that you will never see pros do is waste their operator skills. I personally need to work on this one. I just be missing my annihilator shots. I pull it out, I get pred missiled right away, and you will never see that happen to a pro player. They are going to make sure that they are in the prime position as soon as they tap that button. Never think to yourself, oh, I'm wasting time, I could get my next one by now if I haven't used it. Operators can mean the difference between a win and a loss, so make sure you choose correctly when to use yours. The fourth thing that you will never see pros do is forget to use their utility. Whenever pros are pushing an objective or a flag, they're always going to be throwing down trophies when they get near it and nades when they're pushing into it. If you ever watch a pro match, there is constantly Molotovs flying and trophies going off. So get in a habit of using these whenever you can. The fifth thing that you will never see pros do is get tunnel vision. If you don't know what tunnel vision means, it means you're pretty much just focused on one thing. You get locked in on it. You don't check your radar. You don't have awareness of what's happening around you. And in my opinion, this is the biggest thing that separates pro players from average ranked warriors, is their awareness. Pro players are very, very aware of everything that's going on around them. They're constantly looking at their radar, calculating spawns, seeing when the hard point will rotate, noticing if there's enemies shooting around them. They are constantly thinking to themselves in their head, and you will never see them chasing someone down across the map, focusing way too hard on a gunfight that's going on. So if there's one thing I would take away from this video, is increase your awareness as much as possible. The next thing that you will never see pros do is waste their score streaks. We already talked about specialists, but score streaks are just as important. 99% of players in ranked immediately use their pred missiles, their shock RCs, everything they get as soon as they get them. The only thing that I would use immediately always is a UAV, because it's really easy to obtain. It's like 3 or 4 kills, and your teammates are always going to need to know what's going on the radar. Score streaks I would save, and you'll never see pros use immediately unless they have to, is for example a pred missile, an airstrike. They are going to use these score streaks at the most optimal times possible. Maybe their team is pushing a hill, or they wait till a hill is out in the open and they boom They blow it up, they get 3 kills, and they're able to just swarm in and take that objective. So make sure you're playing smart with your score streaks. Another thing you'll never, ever see pros do is reload out in the open, unless they're cornered and they're forced to. 99% of the time, pros prefer to run around a corner, maybe even swap to their knife just so they can get away, and then reload and then get back into the engagements. Too many times do I see people reloading in the most obvious spots. Guys, you don't need to reload immediately when your gun runs out of ammo. You can take out your knife, you can run around a corner, and you can get into safety before you do that. It seems like an obvious tip. I just felt like I would remind you guys. The next thing that you will never see pros do, and it's actually not that obvious, is they will never take unnecessary gunfights. Now, what an unnecessary gunfight is pretty much when you're shooting at someone and you're most likely not going to win. So for example, if you have an SMG and you're challenging someone at medium to long range and they have an assault rifle, that is just a stupid challenge. You're either going to die, you're going to waste your time and then get shot in the back by someone else, or they're just going to get away, you're not going to kill them, and that was just a whole waste of a couple seconds where you could be doing something else. Pros are also never going to shoot someone who's running away and they're about to get around the corner, because they know they're not going to be able to kill that person. That person's going to be able to get away, and now the person that they were shooting at knows they can just turn behind them and there's an enemy right there. So this is actually pretty hard to work on. You're going to have to focus on it for a bit until you learn this. It's a bit of game sense too, so you can't really know when to take fights unless you play pretty often. Another thing that you will never see pro players do is go for an objective without map control. Whenever teams go into a game, they each have positions that they want each of their players to play. So I've been talking about the map firing range a lot because it's really easy to demonstrate. Trailer on firing range is a prime example of a power position. If you control trailer, you can pretty much control the whole middle of the map. So teams like to fight over that and contest it. When I play ranked casually by myself, I see a lot of players just running like headless chickens right into the objective. Maybe sometimes they gain control of it. A lot of times they're going to die before they get there, or even if they do get control of it, it doesn't matter because the enemies have everything surrounding it. So whenever they want, they'll be able to just take the objective right back. So it's extremely important to make sure that you have map control for your team. This is the best way to solo carry. Map control means holding spawns, means getting rotations. It is easily the most important thing in the game. That's why I hate when people in the comments are like, you're never playing objective. Well, a lot of the times when I'm not playing objectives, I'm right near it. I'm killing enemies who are trying to push up toward it, and I'm maintaining our spawns. And last but not least, the most important thing that pros never do is not subscribe. If you enjoyed today's content, I have plenty more just like this on the channel, ranging from gunsmiths to tips and tricks to just fun videos. I have it all on my channel, so hit the subscribe button, like the video, and I'll see you guys later.